God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Jesus said that I and my Father are one. We're made in the image and likeness of the one. Since God is what we are, let God be what we show. Let's see the God in every face, everywhere we go. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Your mind is divine and the garden of your soul. Plant love, faith, and happiness, and witness what unfolds from the beauty of creation. Reflected in your eyes, you see heaven right here on earth, and you live in paradise. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Omnipresence manifesting cosmic unity. The ins and outs, the ups and downs, and everything in between. I'm the intelligence, orchestrating relativity. The power of creation is His gift to you and me. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Jesus said that I and my Father are one. We're made in the image and likeness of the one. Since God is what we are, let God be what we show. Let's see the God in every face, everywhere we go. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Your mind is divine and the garden of your soul. Plant love, faith, and happiness, and witness what unfolds from the beauty of creation. Reflected in your eyes, you see heaven right here on earth, and you live in paradise. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Omnipresence manifesting cosmic unity. The ins and outs, the ups and downs, and everything in between. I'm the intelligence, orchestrating relativity. The power of creation is His gift to you and me. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Jesus said that I and my Father are one. We're made in the image and likeness of the one. Since God is what we are, let God be what we show. Let's see the God in every face, everywhere we go. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Oh, God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Your mind is divine, and the garden of your soul. Plant love, faith, and happiness, and witness what unfolds. From the beauty of creation, reflected in your eyes. You see heaven right here on earth, and you live in paradise. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Omnipresence manifesting cosmic unity. The ins and outs, the ups and downs, and everything in between. Omni-intelligence, orchestrating relativity. The power of creation is His gift to you and me. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Jesus said that I and my Father are one. We're made in the image and likeness of the one. Since God is what we are, let God be what we show. Let's see the God in every face, everywhere we go. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Oh, God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Your mind is divine, and the garden of your soul. Plant love, faith, and happiness, and witness what unfolds. From the beauty of creation, reflected in your eyes. You see heaven right here on earth, and you live in paradise. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Omnipresence manifesting cosmic unity. The ins and outs, the ups and downs, and everything in between. I'm the intelligence, orchestrating relativity. The power of creation is His gift to you and me. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Jesus said that I and my Father are one. We're made in the image and likeness of the one. Since God is what we are, let God be what we show. Let's see the God in every face, everywhere we go. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Oh, God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Your mind is divine, in the garden of your soul. Plant love, faith, and happiness, and witness what unfolds. From the beauty of creation, reflected in your eyes. You see heaven right here on earth, and you live in paradise. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. Omnipresence manifesting cosmic unity. The ins and outs, the ups and downs, and everything in between. I'm the intelligence, orchestrating relativity. Power of creation is His gift to you and me. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is. In the beginning, God. God is all there is.
Good morning. My name is Reggie Capp, your Operations Administrator here at Columbia Center for Spiritual Living. Welcome to our Sunday celebration. For those of you on Facebook, we would greatly appreciate it if you would share the live stream to bring more of us together in the energy of spirit. Okay, thanks. Our work as a community is to illuminate the spirit truth that we all belong to each other. And in that, we advocate for the honoring of diversity, equity, and inclusion with respect to ability status, age, ethnicity, gender identity, national origin, physical characteristics, race, religion, and sexual orientation. As we open our service, we'd like to take this moment to acknowledge that in Howard County, we are on the unceded traditional lands of the Piscataway tribe of the Algonquin. We honor the Piscataway community, their elders, past and present, as well as future generations. At Columbia CSL, we discover the truth of who we are through our vision of contributing to a world that works for everyone. We are a diverse community of belonging and growth, sharing the light and joy within ourselves while learning to see it in others. I invite you now to set an intention for this week. Take a deep breath and allow yourself to sink into the feeling of that intention right now. Open to receive Spirit's guidance throughout our time together. We have a saying here: singing or listening to music is like praying twice. So we begin each service. Blessed to have back Jessie Powers. She's an accomplished musician, songwriter, vocalist, and boy, she loves to have fun. She is so spontaneously joyful. So please help me welcome Jessie Powers.
Good morning, Columbia CSL. Happy to be back with you again. This morning, I'm going to wake up the warrior in you. That beautiful, protective presence that spreads the light all over the world. Needs to be awakened sometimes in the morning. Sometimes we go to sleep and we get so soft in our slumber. So here we go. We're gonna wake up that warrior. I'm gonna ask you to sing with me at the end. Let's do it. Something's mistaken me, it's taking me for a fool. Constantly accusing me of being fake, like I'm some criminal. But it's subliminal. I can't remember though how I got in this flow of negativity that's keeping me from being free. But I know that it's only I'm the beauty and the beast. Without good luck, my heart's the key. Society almost succeeded in bleeding me out, but I see the reality of the light and I'm ready for the fight now. I'm made of light and my weapon is the truth. Demons inside, I'm by the hiding. Now I'm after you. Found the truth in this music. Spinning around so smooth. It pours the sword for this battle warrior. I am the warrior. I am the chief. I never turn and run when darkness comes for me. Hello, the demons may try to bring me with a straight face lies. I am the warrior and I will always rise. Hey, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, hey, yeah, hey, yeah. Ooh, ooh, yeah, wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the battle's won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the battle's won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the battle's won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the battle's won. I am the warrior, I am the chief. I never turn and run when darkness comes for me. Hello, the demons may try to bring me with the street face lies. I am the warrior and I will always rise. Hey, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, hey, yeah, hey, yeah. Okay, so there's a correction I have to make. Because in our philosophy, we talk a lot about what you resist persists, right? So we're not trying to battle anything. The battle shall not be won. It's just love. So love is the winner, okay? So I'm going to read you the bridge so that it resonates more with the way that we would think about it. Ready? Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not going to stop until the love has won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the love has won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the love has won. Wherever you run is where I run, and I'm not gonna stop until the love has won. I am the warrior, I am the chief. I never turn and run when darkness comes for me. And though the demons may try to bring me with a straight face lies, I job, warriors. Good morning.
Thank you, Love Warrior Jessie, for that amazing gift. That was fun. If this is your first time experiencing Columbia Center for Spiritual Living, we welcome you and we thank you for joining us today. We want you to know that no matter who you are or whatever your spiritual path, you are welcome here. There are a variety of ways to connect and engage in community. We invite you to continue watching for our announcement roll at the end of service for updates on events and classes, etc. And on our website calendar at columbiacsl.com/events or email us at info@columbiacsl.com for more information. In addition, feel free to hop on to the after chat and take a deeper dive into today's message with Dr. Nadene on Zoom immediately following service. I think the chat, in the chat, you should be able to find the link or just find it on our website. All right. So now let us consciously engage in spiritual practice together. We invite you to settle in, to see yourself in this moment and find that sacred place within, where spirit is all there is. We will have a contemplative reading by Karen Brown and then a guided meditation ending in affirmative prayer by licensed practitioner Idalia Romero.
Good morning, everyone. In today's reading, the author reflects upon the moment he met his newborn son. But first, this quote from Ernest Holmes. It's up to you, page 48. God has not made some men divine, but God has made all men divine, by the very reason of the fact that all men are some incarnation of the divine soul. New Life by Jeffrey Seeley. Tears began to slowly trickle down my face as I gazed into the eyes of my little son, who arrived on the planet just a few minutes earlier. He looked at me as if he were sharing the wisdom just beyond the veil of this physical world. I looked back at him, thanking him for his willingness to join me on this journey of life. In his eyes, I could see the universe, the creator, and all that has aligned with precision to enable him to be. I realized that our sacred earth, which has been in creation since the beginning of time, developed in such a way to help welcome this young light into the world. I understood that while I may be his father, he is here to help show me a new way of being in this world. Each person we interact with throughout our day is a light brought into our world. Look beneath the physical body you see in front of you and be willing to recognize the light that shines through them. Just as my son has reminded me, every person we pass, speak to, or share this experience with is a sacred being. Cherish their presence, for all of life is sacred. I invite you now to join me in the affirmation. Everything is sacred, and I live my life honoring the sacredness of this day. And so it is. Namaste.
Oh, what a beautiful reading. Good morning, my beloveds. Welcome, welcome to the garden of your soul. Let us now take a moment to just feel those words that have been read, that connection, as we relax and unite ourselves into the divine possibility of life itself. For this is the moment where we gather all our feelings of love, support, compassion, and protection. Let us see in our mind's eye the highest and best for ourselves and all those we love and care for. Let us now take a moment to share the wisdom beyond the physical world. As we now visualize the people, places, and situations that we have recently come in contact with or have lived through this week, let's bring some of these details and feelings clearly into focus one by one. As we reach beyond these circumstances into the peace and protection of our divine essence. And now, through the power of concentration, let's send this energy outward. Let's relax even deeper within as we yield all our concerns to that universal knowing that knows all. Let's pause as we feel the flow of trust, of deep-rooted faith, knowing that everything is divinely inspired in all the outcomes in our lives. Knowing without a shadow of a doubt that everything is sacred. That it is all good because it is all God. Let us feel that rippling effect of love, joy, and compassion as we elevate our minds and align with the universal spirit all around us. Let us behold only that which is in front of us as we shift our perspective to include the bigger picture of life itself. From this elevated vantage, let us remember the connection of ourselves and all beings to God. As we ascend into spirit, let us elevate our minds and align all with this divine spiritual truth. And now, let us take a moment to feel the light, that light, as we ease into the awareness of spirit, the golden light within, as we feel ourselves soaring into the freedom of spirit all around us, the way that we are meant to soar. Feel yourself rising above limiting beliefs about yourself and others. Let go of feelings and thoughts that are not aligned with the position of the Creator. And from Isaiah 6:8, the quote is, "We are these that fly like a cloud and like doves to their windows." So as we reflect on this verse, knowing that everything is sacred this week, let us feel that precious gaze of God's gold in all we do today and from this day forward. So let us gently and slowly, in the sweetness of the here and now, let us ease back into this moment as we pray together. Knowing that there is only one. There is only one power, one presence, one mind, one absolute essence that is everywhere present. It is here right now, through me as the voice that speaks. It is here right now, living in each and every one of us, for we are always connected, always grounded in this power, this beauty, this essence.
And as we come together this morning to be reminded, to remember that we are one. We are one in the freedom of life. We are one in the love and the compassion. We are the survivors. We are the very essence of life itself. And we feel this power in our hearts, in the garden of our soul. And we are grateful that everything is delivered perfectly through this service today, through the power of the voice, of the words and the actions that come forth through each and every one of us. And we are grateful. We are so, so grateful. So we release this prayer into the nothingness of which these words have come from, knowing that it is delivered perfectly this morning, and we are just divinely blessed. And we let it go, and together we just say, and so it is, and so it is. Amen, amen. Namaste.
So it is, and so it is. Namaste. So blessed to have you, Idalia, and that beautiful prayer, and Karen, and that for that beautiful time of spiritual practice. Would you love to have more of that spiritual practice connection, that spiritual connection? Our practitioners and ministers are eager to support you in living from that place. Feel free to email your request for prayer or counseling to prayer@columbiacsl.com, and we will hold your truth in prayer throughout the week. And now it's my pleasure to introduce once again, Jessie the Soul.
We can change the world if we want to. We can change it all if we want. Sit with me, we can be 6 feet apart. Bow our heads and honor that which is greater than we are. Take the pain inside your heart and give it to the light. Together we're better, so let yourself remember that tonight. Because we can change the world if we want to. We can change it all if we want. Ooh, we can change the world if we want to. We can change it all if we want. It isn't mine to ever know the answer to it all. But what I do know is we must go where we are called. Everything is screaming out, honey, it's all inside. Begin with me within and see the peace that we ignite. Stillness is the way. Stillness is the way. Stillness is the way. Stillness is the way. We're gonna breathe in, gonna breathe out. That's about all that we can do right now. Maybe it's not ours to figure out today. Gonna be here, gonna be now. Peace of mind, gonna find us somehow. And I know that stillness is the way. 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 And we can change the world if we want to.
Wow, that was beautiful. Yes, I have no doubt that Jessie Powers is changing the world through her beautiful messages, through her beautiful voice, her songs. So thank you so much, Jessie. So this month we are continuing a theme of healthy, wealthy, and wise. And it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Reverend Dr. Nadene Rogers. Old.
Oh, thank you so much, Reggie. Thanks, everyone, for a great morning so far. So, good morning, Columbia. Oh my goodness, all those joining us today. I'm really excited to be in self-contemplation with you. I mean, the songs that Jesse sang, that first one totally woke me up. I had to really listen. And the second one said, "Stillness is the way." Isn't that it? We have to listen. Oh, Jesse, you're quite something. So, yes, we get to be in self contemplation together, and continue to address those basic principles of the science of mind and spirit teachings. In this, our month's theme, healthy, wealthy, and wise. I so love this teaching. It allows me to be whatever I want to be, whenever I want to be it. It doesn't suggest that I become positive when I'm feeling negative, but it hands me a blend of scientifically proved practices, buoyed up by spiritual principles and a universal natural law to use if I choose. Now, this teaching does not boast it is the only way, but it does state that there is a power for good in this universe, and we can use it if we choose to. So we join in spiritual community this morning to continue our understanding of how to mindfully use this power for good in the highest and best way for our lives, therefore producing goodness to benefit all. I truly believe we are moving in a time when we as people can only know ourselves as creation itself. No longer is there a God and I, but simply and truthfully, I am. So looking at this relationship of healthy, wealthy, and wise reinforces the source existing within as in each one of us, so that we can always be mindful that there is that next step to take in being the source of our own abundant living. Being the source of our own abundant living. So with this in mind today, we explore this idea of God's gold, meaning that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. There's only one of us. Or the highest and best for me is the highest and best for you. Now, this latter expression is taught in the science of mind philosophy as somewhat of an entry point to the end game, as it were, learning to be love through loving the self in this moment now. What we consider the highest and best for ourselves, of course, changes, like everything, as our awareness expands and our needs and ways of walking in the world shift. So we do the best we can with the awareness we have. The term highest and best assumes, in my mind, that the decisions made on behalf of ourselves are mindful ones, and therefore filled with the consideration and kindness as best as we know for others in our circle we consider family, knowing that a rippling effect throughout the cosmos is happening. Now, this is happening because there's both a mystical and a scientific rippling effect happening correspondingly manifest through our decisions. So what touches, moves, calls us forward affects all and is distributed equally to all. So God's gold is very simply our inherent nature, impelled by an infinite, intelligent, creative love, operating through a universal law of being in us, in which we have the freedom to think and choose to use this creative power for good. Do you remember a while back, there was a bank commercial from, I think it was Capital One, and they used to say, "What's in your wallet?" referring to whatever else you carry in your wallet other than that Capital One credit card. Well, get rid of it. It's useless because all you need is Capital One. I used to love that commercial because I used to think when they said, "What's in your wallet?" I used to think of what's in my mind, what's in my consciousness? What's cluttering my life? And so I used to expand it. So metaphorically, for today, I'd like to use this idea, meaning what is the amount of currency or soul currency, or perhaps current of consciousness you carry in your everyday offerings of exchange with life, right? Because that's what we use money for. God in action for exchange. Because what it is will by law reproduce itself energetically all over the place and within the subjective mind, universal. Therefore, the one mind we use, the subjective mind of the individual, of the many. And it will continue on having this rippling effect in consciousness through all eternity. It's pretty big, eh? Don't feel drowned out by that responsibility. I know we don't go there immediately, but that is the truth, because there's only energy. Now, this ripple effect is based on the understanding that, of course, we're all connected, right? These connections stretch like an incredibly interwoven, complicated, complex tapestry. And each of us exists within this tapestry. Thoughts and actions are like stones dropped in that pond, and they create ripples that travel outward. Now, while we're not always conscious of the rippling effect that we create, I'm brought to the moment when I was having breakfast a couple of weeks ago, when it was still warm enough to go out in my nightgown and have coffee by the water. And I would watch this, I would say young man, and he would throw those stones. You know how I used to do that when I was a kid. See how many rippling circles I could make. And he was excited. The more circles, the farther stretched his aim. You know, the more marks he hit, he was achieving, he was successful. I think everything we do and think affects the people in our lives, and their reactions in turn affect others. So yes, our choices have far-reaching consequences, and each of us carries with us the capacity to change the world in small ways, one circle at a time, for better or for worse. So we can use the principles of the rippling effect to magnify our actions and their effects, just by remembering that we are doing so. So the science behind the rippling effect has come from the field of quantum physics. You know, researchers have long understood that the basic building blocks of matter, the atom, could be broken down into its basic components. So you all know we have protons, neutrons, and electrons, right? But we've come to understand that these components are not absolute unto themselves, but can be broken down into even smaller particles called leptons and quarks, which in turn can be broken down even farther. So the theory is that when you go down far enough, there is no finite bit of matter. There is only energy. So since everything is energy, our thoughts can be used to interact with that energy to affect changes in our environment. Ergo, what's in your wallet? Is it the one card, God's gold? Or is there a mishmash of sundry stuff and other distractions? So God's gold, again, our inherent nature, impelled by this intelligent, creative love, operating through a universal law of being in us, within which we have the freedom to think and choose to use this creative power for good. So when we understand the principle of the universal law of the one mind in action, we can have faith in its impersonal action and rely upon it by respecting its creative power. Just like conservationists or environmentalists respect the creative power of Mother Nature. Our reliance upon the natural environment is, I think at the very least in our own minds vital to our human survival, yes? Many choose to live off the grid. I often think if I was younger, that's where I'd be going. Now, maybe I do in mind when other people look at how I think, but I'm talking, of course, physically, right? Many choose to live off the grid. And mentally, I look at that as shifting the belief in my need to overuse and abuse the natural environment, right? To understand that a life without utilities or sundry stuff isn't so hard. If one chooses to apply best practices in relationship with the planet, life can be easier. So the planet, the natural environment, the natural spiritual laws of being, in relationship with the natural spiritual laws of being. And those of us who choose to live mindfully on this spiritual path, aligning with the spiritual laws of nature, are kind of like living off the grid, wouldn't you say? Our choices are in respect for the creative power of mind and how to use it. Because again, everything, our choice, has a rippling effect. One of the benefits of this shift in perspective is found within our mindful commitment to connect with the rest of the world, right? Just like living off the grid, we have to find those beautiful, interwoven, complex relationships that we've never looked into before, that are always already present, rather than sitting back and having the rest of the world come to us, right, into our personal dwelling space. Another benefit of the shift of this perspective is the conscious growth towards living in alignment with our values, right? Not the world's values, but our values, as a part of a divine order and interdependent system. Grids are commonly known as infrastructures that connect us to the various utility networks that make our society what it is. Similarly, living off the grid, outside of race consciousness and societal norms, can connect us to the infinite creative intelligent power that is readily available to sustain our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. I think that ultimately in this mindful choice, we are creating a new foundational relationship with ourselves, which I like to call self-sustainability, self-responsibility, self-sufficiency, rather than adding to the dependency upon and subsequent depletion of man-made resources or others' energy resources for the attainment of our good. Here we're basically taking, as we shift this perspective to being self-sustaining, we're basically taking the leap of living with resources we now use and often take for granted to living as source, using our natural propensity to be the light unto ourselves and others, breaking free, as I said before, from those societal norms and that race consciousness, and obeying the perfect divine order of nature, both inside and out. Now, I know we all want to be independent and just taste that sweetness of freedom, but are we willing to become that self-responsible, self-sustainable individual to attain this aspiration? Well, if wishing made it so, we would all be healthy, wealthy, and wise. There's just such a profound awe and majesty found within the understanding and use of the divine universal law of mind. For life can only work through us and as us. And the law always obeys according to our command. But to make the process complete, we must do our part by believing and accepting, to act as if we already have that which we desire. You know, it takes effort. It does, to switch and shift our perspective, but it's all on the part of the individual relative consciousness and ability to do so. Again, God does not know effort, right? The law doesn't know effort. It just acts according to our command. Isn't it remarkable? Just think about this for a moment. Isn't it remarkable? God obeys us. God responds to the imprint of the energy of our intentional or unintentional thought and reflects back to us what we believe. Isn't that amazing? When we operate in this field of consciousness in this way, in alignment with these complementary forces and functions, the yin and the yang of self-existent original cause, back of all creation, moving within us, we can step away from our ego's willfulness to control and remain safe, and its subsequent reaction to make change on the level in which it appears. You know how we try to move the deck chairs, right? On the Titanic. So instead, we can make that quantum leap by trusting our innate need to give and receive love, or be loved and be loved, to the operation of an immutable and an intelligent law to deliver love's promise. So how is it we adjust our aim so that we no longer expense time and effort and all the other stuff in our wallet? Or I like to think about it as replacing the target, right? Moving the deck chairs. How is it we adjust our aim, our perspective, so that we don't spend time out there, right? Choices to replace the target will ultimately create a world of boundaries and separation, because we can never find ourselves fully fulfilled in the thing, but only in the cause, back of the thing. You know, one of the ways to adjust our aim and get clear on what is for our highest and best is through self-honesty. Now, I know it's a challenging path, not because of our tendency towards omissions, justifications, denials, embellishments, right? As we grapple with our truth, but because there truly is no place to hide, no manner in which we can make ourselves so small that the love of life, of spirit, cannot make its way to bring us home to that truth of who we are. In this manner of speaking, we must traverse the limited beliefs that have kept us safe, or so we believe, in the darkness, and find its value. Find the value of the darkness so that we can be transformed into the beauty of our whole truth. Every day, and some nights in our dreams, we are at target practice, aren't we? Ever adjusting our aim or points of reference so that they may demonstrate as mindful living and loving. Each of us moving on the path of deepening our own spiritual practice, which opens us to that transformative power of love's vision to heal the unloved parts of ourselves and humanity. So consider for a moment an affirmation of one of my colleagues, Reverend Michelle Wadley. She says, love, or God, is all there is, and no one can harm me. Everyone is innocent, and the place in us that matters has never been hurt, harmed, or injured in any way. Now, this sentiment flows from spiritual truth. However, our acts of loving do not always embrace the spiritual truth within the situations of our lives, right? When we love within the measurements of time, space, we are plagued by the sense of endings, of loss, of grasping and holding on, rather than eternality and potentiality, right? Dr. Holmes stated it's impossible for God to know comparisons. He said, love, by the very virtue of its nature, initiates our choices toward greater livingness, but will but will be remained but an arrow shot off without the stability of its bow. But will be remained an arrow shot off without the stability of its bow, the far reaching of its tree branches without the grounding of its roots. Love, subjective in its desire, passion, and spontaneity, cannot be recognized, known, or experienced, built upon, or expanded without its impersonal creative process, the law of being. I took archery lessons many years ago, and I loved the intense mindfulness it took, right? To intentionally pull back the bow, to create just the perfect amount of tension to make its mark on the target. So yes, I would practice adjusting my aim over and over again. And that alone became a worthwhile practice. The strike, hitting the mark, was the icing on the cake. Pulling the bow back, adjusting my aim was like being mindful in how I was loving. That's how I relate it today. And as I kept my focus on adjusting my aim, I released the arrow, which I use as a metaphor for my highest and best decision, which eventually hit the target or not. But nevertheless, it was released in love and the law, carrying it to its natural logical outcome. Whatever target it was, I hit, right? So my love was what adjusted my aim, and the law carried it for my highest and best, and therefore the highest and best of others, no matter what target I hit, right? Even as our focus is to be on love, so too must our faith be in law. And we get distracted. We get distracted when adjusting our aim, don't we? I've got 3 things I want to share with you. These are things that, for me, have distracted me as I have been growing in my own awareness and mindfulness of being love and loving myself, and therefore knowing that the law will manifest my highest and best. Number 1, the belief in either never enough out there or more is never enough. So I'm going to share an illustrative story about a humble stonecutter with you who was never satisfied with life, with the family and the good things he had. He wished he could be like the richest prince in the kingdom. So to his astonishment, he immediately became the prince. Now, relishing his newfound power and prestige, he gazed at the sun, noticing how large and powerful it was. And he wished he were the sun. And he became the sun at once. Well, when a cloud blocked his view of the earth, he wanted to be the large cloud, and he became it. And while enjoying his ability to cause rains all over the earth, he felt something push him, and it was the wind. And he wished to be the wind, and at once he became it. Soon, however, being the powerful wind was not enough for him. And after he had noticed that a giant rock affixed to the earth would not move, no matter how hard he blew. So he wished to become the rock. You got it. And he became it. Now, impervious to the sun and rain and wind, he truly believed he had founded the most powerful position of all. He was the mighty rock. Well, to his disappointment, he soon heard loud tapping noises, and he felt himself being changed. He thought, how can anyone change me? I am the powerful, the omnipotent rock. Well, immediately he looked down, and he noticed another humble stonecutter, chisel and hammer in hand, cutting into him. Isn't that a great teaching story? Now, the second thing was not allowing myself to grow into the embodiment of new belief patterns, constantly judging myself in my training wheels, instead of understanding that practice makes it real, right? In our teaching, we say, fake it till you make it. Now, that does apply in metaphysics. You know, we have to cross the divide of time and space in our own belief system to be able to act as if who we want to be is happening now. And yes, we do need to teach what it is we need to learn. But remember, we are teaching from an ancient seed planted within that we're aware of on an unconscious level, which is already whole and complete within itself. And therefore, we are poised to bear fruit in our own awareness and the embodiment of our being. The journey of becoming is where the light shines most strongly. The third thing, I often focus on my difference rather than my spiritual oneness. Here's another illustrative story. It's called The Sun and the Cave, to contemplate this idea for yourself. Once, 1,000 years before human beings roamed this earth, the sun began a conversation with a cave. Now, they were not able to understand one another very well. The sun didn't grasp the concept of darkness, and the cave couldn't even imagine what light was. So as an experiment, they decided to visit each other. The cave visited the sun and said, "Oh, how incredible and beautiful this place is. Now I know what light is, what beauty is. Now, sun, it's your turn to visit my world, the world of the caves." So the sun traveled to the earth, gazed inside a few caves, and said, "I don't see any difference." That's the end of the story. I don't see any difference. So for me, I don't see any differences in that I see light within. But I do see the diversity in expression, my expression, and I honor it as it is expressed, all the same. So these are but 3 ideas to reflect upon that maybe you can use to continue adjusting your aim, to mindfully let love guide your best decisions. And remember that as you adjust your aim, your wallet gets lighter. And the impact your decisions make through the rippling effect raise everybody up. And eventually, you, me, we will, by the grace we bestow upon ourselves, grow more aware and awake. So lastly, I'm going to ask you to imagine something with me. If you can, close your eyes wherever you are. Imagine with me that you are celebrating your 110th birthday. There you sit, surrounded by several family members, friends, who are there to honor and celebrate your life. And they exclaim that you are the eldest of us, and you have taught many thousands of us, right, how to find the path toward being love. So we've come, joined together, and prepared this gift for you. Please accept it with our love and best wishes. You feel so very touched, as you had not expected nor needed anything like this. But as a gesture of courtesy, you open the ornately wrapped gift in front of everyone. You remove the delicate bow, putting the colorful paper aside and taking the lid slowly off the gift box. Then you look inside. The box was empty. You began to cry tears of joy, realizing that your family and friends had thought long and hard about this gift. Your eyes were still. They welled with tears as you looked at the assembled group of those who loved you, and you say, "Thank you so, so much. It's just what I've always wanted. Nothing. Nothing, because there is more than enough, because our existence is enough. Nothing, no thing, because God's gold a perfect, impersonal, universal law of being, impelled by our awakening and intentional love, is enough. So here's to you, my friends. You are a one-of-a-kind, God is good all the time blessing to be expressed. So be it. And so it is. Amen.
So it is. And so it is. What a great reminder that we have everything we need. We have God's gold in our spiritual wallet, and it's up to us to consciously use it for our highest and best. What a wonderful reminder. God's not out there. God's right here. Thank you, Dr. Nadene. And please join us next week as we come together in person at the Hawthorne Center with Rebecca Bell, our very own light on what is love anyway. And our guest musician next week is our very own Jamie Hudson Craig. And if you can't be with us in person, you can always join the live stream through Twitch TV on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page, however you got on today. And now it's my pleasure to introduce once again the amazingly talented and so fun Jessie Powers.
Can you feel my love? Let it wrap you up in a warm body. It is more than enough that you are simply breathing right now. You bring your highs, you bring your lows. Try to prove to me you don't deserve anything. I'll keep holding the space for you to simply be here right now. And it's a hard road to loving yourself. It's a hard thing to believe enough to be loved by somebody else. You may be lost, you may be shaken and confused, but none of this is gonna dissuade me from loving you. Ooh, all this darkness is just a feeling, and it's feelings that make you grow. And when you're growing, it means you're healing, making your way to where you let resistance go. And I can't show you the way, and I will reassure you that through it all, I'm gonna stay. Won't you let me in? I am standing at your door, waiting. I don't care if it's a mess in there. I just wanna see you shine as you are. And it's a hard road to loving yourself. It's a hard thing to believe enough to be loved by somebody else. You may be lost, you may be shaken and confused, but none of this is gonna dissuade me from loving you. All this darkness is just a feeling, and it's feelings that make you grow. And when you're growing, it means you're healing, making your way to where you let resistance go. And I can show you the way, and I will reassure you that through it all, I'm gonna this darkness is just a feeling, and it's feelings that make you grow. And when you're growing, it means you're healing, making your way to where you let resistance go. And I can show you the way, and I will reassure you that through it all, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay.
Thank you, Jessie, for that fabulous song. We so appreciate your gifts and talents. Be sure to check out Jessie's website, jessiepowersmusic.com, or find her on YouTube for more uplifting music. I think she has some CDs. You can purchase her music and support her music ministry. She's amazing. And now it's time for our conscious giving, an opportunity to participate in the law of circulation. We know that we have to receive as well as give. So we invite you to let your divine inner wisdom choose the blessing of joy that calls to you. Keep it with you all week long, and remember how much you are loved. All right, now we can complete the law of circulation by giving back. I invite you to invoke feelings of love, gratitude, abundance. Allow these feelings to fill you and to fill the space around you. And now let's speak our prosperity affirmation together. I know that the infinite abundance of the universe is blessing and expanding my offering for the good of all. And so it is. We offer easy ways to donate. You can make donations through our website at columbiacsl.com, or you can text your donation to us at 410-498-6175. And we gratefully receive your gifts and tithes. Your support means that we remain a vital and thriving center, contributing to a world that works for everyone. Before we close, our community is in the process of calling in our new spiritual leader, and your continued prayers and support are for our next right and perfect minister are so deeply appreciated. On behalf of our entire community, thank you for being part of our spiritual family today. We look forward to seeing you again. And at the end of service, we hope you check out our announcement slides and our website calendar. Again, that's columbiacsl.com/events to make sure you know that know of everything that's coming up in our community. Just 2 upcoming programs to note. Look for Rebecca Bell's course on mindfulness practices on Monday nights starting October 3rd. October's so far away. Oh, no, it's not. It's just a couple weeks away. And mark your calendar for the Heart of Peace Labyrinth Walk next Saturday, September 24th at 10 a.m. at Bon Secours Spiritual Center. You'll find the information on our website. And please join us today for After Chat with Dr. Nadene immediately after this service. You can find the link where else on our website calendar under today's date. It's now my pleasure to introduce once again Dr. Nadene to close our service with a benediction.
Oh, there's only one life, and that life is God's life, acting perfectly, wholly, and completely as our life right now. So I invite you all into this space, into this knowing, into this consciousness. I ask that you just feel its presence within you, because we can never know God, but we can experience God. We can make this God of our understanding personal as we open, become still, listen, and feel its presence. Its presence becomes our heartbeat. Its presence becomes the blood in our veins. Its presence becomes the breath that we breathe, that breathes us, because God is all there is. So I know for me, as I know for you, that God's gold, this beautiful infinitely creative and powerful intelligence that is operating in, as, and through me right now, in its lovingness, spontaneously is operating through a constant and personal law, which is my core belief system, my subjective belief system, which is the law of my being. And so I allow this love to wash in me and over me. I allow this love to influence and imprint and shift the perspective of my belief system, to know that God's gold is right where I am, to know that I have everything I need, to know that this beauty of the world that I see, that anything I aspire to is actually right here within my own making, that there is nothing that lives outside of me of any consequence, that everything that lives within me, as I adjust my aim, as I shift my perspective, as I move mindfully, impelled by this power of love, is for my highest and best. So I let everything else go. I am very clear what is in my spiritual wallet. Thank you, Reggie. And I allow myself to move forward into this day with great joy. And so it is. Amen.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. Tu es l'image de Dieu. I hold you in my heart. Tu es l'image de l'amour. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. Tu sei la luce di Dio. I hold you in my heart. Tu sei il volto dell'amore. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are my family. You are the face of love. The face of love. You are the face of love. The face of love. I hold you in my heart. You in my heart. You are my family. You are my family. You are the face of love. You are the face of God, the face of God. I hold you in my heart, you in my heart. You are a part of me, a part of me. You are the face of God, the face of God. You are the face of God. Eres la luz de Dios. I hold you in my heart. Eres la cara del amor. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. 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 La luce di Dio. You are the face. You are the You are the face of God. L'image de Dieu. You are the face. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. La luz de Dios. You are the face. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. You are the face. You are the face of God. You are the